Any questions? Any rules that I need to clear up? Any
How
questions?
are we riding on the dragons? Like, how do we attach ourselves to them?
You are riding behind their necks, holding on. Let's just say there's like a harness or something.
Oh, they have harnesses.
Let's just say like a reins or something, just so that you guys don't fly off. But that could be the disadvantage of, again, it's a scenario effect, but something to hold on, not just the scales.
Okay.
Nosen had a question.
Who named these dragons?
The dragons themselves or the dragons family.
I don't mean in story. I mean actually.
If you have any grievances on the names of the dragons, talk to the ancient dragons who hatched the eggs. Otherwise,
I have a problem with some of these names, and the length of them remind me of some teachers whose names I can never get right.
what?
Like Bangyo Langthenor? That's a long ass name.
Oh,
That's like Wolde Heimanot, which is a teacher that I have to deal with on a fairly regular occasion.
There
actually,
are probably just so many dragons that it's kind of like they ran out of usernames, and so they just had to keep making them longer and longer.
it's actually interesting. Jeff, does Bagyo Langit Tanor sound anything?
Did you say Langit?
Yeah.
My guy. Like Kulangit? Kulangot?
No, Langit.
Langit. What is
All right,
Langit
well, don't
again?
expect me to remember all of the
No, you
dragon
can-
names then.
Yep, that's it's up to you.
In my personal headcanon, my dragon's name is Erganli Thoranix, but when he introduced himself to the small squad, he was like, "You can call me Thor. That's a cool name now, right? Shorter names are cool with you guys these days."
Oh, God.
Very well. Yeah. Nosen, if your dragon introduced himself as I'm Ben, it's Ben or Bob. That's up to you. For the meantime, it's your dragon. Kind of like Ocarlia Carnos. Her human name is Elia.
Let me see. I'm a dragon. What color am I?
Are you the bronze?
Oh, yeah, I am bronze.
Yeah. By the way, so if you haven't noticed in the actor sheet, I did hide those other characters that you don't, so that you don't get confused on which one you control.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That does help, except that I do have Stinky Smelly, or what's his name? No,
Shiny
the
Scaly.
Great Scoo is still on my sheet, but that's fine. Who cares?
Oh, the Great Squid is yours, right?
No, he's not.
Oh,
I'm Splinter Sphere and Grundoff.
my mistake. My mistake. There you go. It is. He is now gone. He's dead to you.
Okay, good. I have enough tabs open right now.
Yeah, and remember, you can open the character sheet on the main foundry, and if you double click on the header, it should minimize it to just a small thing that you can always double click to reopen.
Wait, explain this again?
So if you have your character sheet open in your on Foundry, right? On top you see a lot of headers, a lot of tabs, right? If you double click somewhere where it's not a tab, it shrinks it.
Oh shit! Oh, that's so cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can have multiple character sheets open and you just double click it to expand it, and then double click this to minimize.
Trying to have
Ooh,
them
I
all
was just
popped
gonna
out was like
sacrifice ever
freaking out
seeing
my
that.
computer.
Sorry, what was that, Max? You were talking at the same time.
I was just going to sacrifice ever seeing the map.
There is no map at this point. It's all theater of the mind until we need otherwise. And our battle could be theater of the mind as well, just to keep it moving. Any other logistics? You got your characters. I hope you did your homework. I hope you have a plan of or identify their strengths and weaknesses. And again, this could be faster than we all think. It could take 5 minutes. It could take longer. We'll see. Certain skill challenges, again, will open up scenarios. It could be a very straightforward scenario of like you succeed or you fail, or you failed and therefore you have to do this other additional checks or whatnot. And yeah, we'll start from there. Okay.
And
yeah.
you said that every one of our characters has to take a turn. We can't use the same one.
That's the
multiple
other.
times?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yes, it's kind of like a baseball a lineup. So if you use your dragon the first time, you can't use the dragon until your other characters have
But
completed.
that's per scenario, right?
Per
if it's a new
per
scenario,
phases.
It
Yeah.
starts over. Okay.
Yeah. So we have 3 phases, just to re-summarize. Phase 1 is just approaching the caldera, avoiding detection. Second phase is still avoiding detection, but you are now in the caldera, avoiding all the guards. And third phase is actually looking for the correct ravine to land on. You can technically land, but if it's the wrong ravine, then you have to look for the ravine on land, because the dragon is gonna, drop off the the infiltration group. All right. Any other questions? In my list, I have, let's see here from last time, Jeff leads the initiative, followed by Nilsson's team, then Sarah's team, Max, and then Shoaib to round up the group. Is that correct? All right.
What I remember.
Okay. So let's just... Oh, wait. Did we lose Shoaib? Shoaib, you still there? I lost your video.
Give me quick 5 minutes, like, I'll be right back.
Okay. Yes.
I'm listening, but like I'll be stepping off.
Okay. While Shoaib's gone, I'll just re-summarize the scene, even though I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with where we are. The battle has started. The army has marched towards the caldera, creating a large distraction, causing the rest of the dragon cults to face them head on. The battle began, magic slung both sides, the army starts to clash. The living army of the Lord's Alliance and all the Alliance members, from elves, dwarves, mercenaries, those who support the movement against the dragon's cult, consisting of undead, the gnolls, some monstrosities, some giants who still are interestingly part of the dragon's cult or are assisting them, summon demons. And while this is happening below you, the dragons that were sent by Perthanther, adult dragons, one by one land, and as according to plan, each of you mount your designated dragons and fly off a different direction, slightly away from the battle, approaching the caldera, flying as high as you can so that you have hopefully limited vision from those below while they're distracted fighting, but also being everyone in the group wise enough to know that it's not going to be that easy, because obviously the caldera would be defended or at least guarded. They will have patrols around the area, and you will be prepared for those you may encounter. What they look like, you have no idea. As you fly over the battlefield, well, not over the battlefield, well, technically over, but slightly away, the weather is still clear. You can see the ground. You are high enough, but as you get closer and closer to the caldera, you would notice that the clouds do collect. There are magical clouds, weathers around the caldera. It's kind of hard to see itself, but as you do approach, it is both a boon and a disadvantage, as it does potentially can hide you, but at the same time it is harder to see the ground. So it goes both ways. And now the party reaches the first perimeter of where potentially the patrols will, you assume, would be in the area, although you haven't quite seen any yet. And interestingly enough, dragons have not joined the battle yet, at least from what you can tell. All the explosions in the ground seems to be all magical, from lightning bolts to fireballs to catapults, trebuchets. You don't really hear the screams below you, but you do definitely hear the thunderous explosions, and you feel it in the air and the boom from the distance. I guess here I can turn over to the first person in the initiative order so we can try what phase 1 of the skill challenge would look like. Jeff's team. What do
Alright,
you
so-
wish to do to initiate this approach?
Well, so for the first phase, just as a reminder, it's to avoid the scouts and anyone looking at the sky, right?
That is the general idea, yes.
So I feel like the first thing would be to, have instructions for stealth, right? And
Okay.
just like how to move, the general idea of stealth, like the thing that I mentioned before of stacking everyone on top of each other. I feel like that would have been a thing, to that Gnarl would have instructed everyone in to be like, we have to minimize our presence, in the sky and minimize our shadow on the ground. So, yeah, that's what I think Gnarl would be trying to do.
Okay, so you're going to try to organize the group into, at least from the ground up, appear to be as a single unit. So lessen the area of visibility from the ground by
Yes.
stacking the dragon formation.
Yes.
All right. If that is your decision, let me look. Okay, go ahead. Who will be rolling this?
Well, did you agree with it being stealth, or do you
Yes,
think it's something else?
stealth is fine. Yep.
It'll be Gnarl Toothhurt.
Gnarl will instruct them the best. Will give his recommendation of what he would think stealth would look like while flying, even though he's a goblin. Go on ahead and roll stealth with Gnarl's instruction, and let's see how the other team would follow this.
Here we go. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask a thing about bend luck. When I read the thing, it says I can do it after I can call that I'll bend luck after the roll. Is that a thing that you'll allow here, or?
For this skill challenge, bend luck is again what? Is it a long rest or because it's gonna be a general thing?
It's a long rest.
Okay, so
Like sorcery.
it will just give you advantage if you want to use that.
But I
in-
guess the
in
question is,
flavoring.
can I wait until I see the roll before saying?
Before you get the advantage for it. Sure, yeah,
Yep. Cool.
yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. Cool. Here we go, mother fluffers. Okay.
The first roll of the day. Would you like to take that 22?
Yeah. I'm gonna take that 22.
Right.
By the way, I have to run off to get a package real quick, so I'll wait until my turn's over, and then I'm gonna be back in a second. Yeah.
So I can stall as much as I want.
No.
Yes, so Gnarl, you call out to the dragons, you communicate to the teams basically your idea. Stack. One line, vertical line, hide from the ground. The dragons look over, the other dragons and the other teams look over, and sure enough, you make a formation. And you make basically from the rays of the sun, you can see on the ground a very small shadow of your dragon, the flight of dragons flying, and you kind of like maneuver it so that it's only like one shadow flying through the plains below you. Whether or not it's successful or not, interestingly enough, and to to Gnarl's, what do you call this? Making Gnarl happy, I suppose. You encounter nothing. So, from the ground, it may have worked, it may not. Maybe no one's watching. But you're good to go.
What time of day is it, Blue?
It is noon, close to noontime.
And what latitude are we at?
I don't care. The sun is slightly northeast of you, or you're heading towards the sun. It's about 15 degrees above you,
Okay.
if that
So
matters.
Southern hemisphere?
Not quite actually. You're slightly north of the equator.
Okay. So we're at 15 degrees north latitude?
I don't really care. Too much, too crunchy. Too crunchy. I want you to step back a little bit.
Max wants to get out like a protractor.
Yeah, you do that, Max, and don't be surprised if you get an automatic failure on your test. We're trying to make this Well, tension mounted, but we want to keep the narrative moving. So
Blue's like, this planet is not a sphere. The sun does not behave the way you think it does.
exactly, magic.
Yeah, what's the humidity? It's really important.
Does any of the writers actually? Does anyone have fear of heights? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna include that unless you want to include that in your character. But anyway, the next one in line, Nelson's team. You are now flying in a vertical arrangement or a vertical formation. What does your team want to do as you are approaching the perimeters? And again, so far, no sign of anything.
Oh, I feel like I got a weird ass team on this dragon, because I feel like Grandorf wants to stand up and just yell, "Yeah, let's go after him!" And Gelfin's trying to stay as hidden as possible. And I feel like what's her name, Splinter Sphere, is just sort of
Hanging
having
on.
to put up with both of them. Yeah. I think that she would. Nope, that's not a good one.
You also have the dragon, remember?
You do have the
What was
dragon.
that?
You
Also have the
Yeah,
dragon,
you can
yeah.
also have used the dragon. Yes.
And we don't see anything
Not yet.
as of yet.
Yeah. Again, whether or not the maneuver that Gnarl suggested is working or not, you can assume it's working because so far it seems to be good. Nothing bad happened.
Remind me though, did you say that it was sunny or that the sun is out? Because I thought last time when we left off, you said it was cloudy and rainy.
No, so you are because the team did mention you guys want to fly as high as you can. So I'm just saying you guys are flying above the clouds at this point. So where you are on your approach, you're still in the clear area, but as you get towards the caldera, it is stormy clouds. The closer you get, but at this point, it's still somewhat clear where you are.
Blue, can you describe what we see from the air? So I assume we are sort of above any cloud layers.
Yep.
As we look down, I assume we can kind of see the land from, like, how much of the surrounding territory do we have advantage of right now?
You can see perhaps the because you are kind of above the clouds already. You don't exactly see the caldera. You know where the direction because you're heading towards the caldera itself. To your if relative to where the dragons are, to your left would be the giant battle that's happening. To your right and below you would be more of like a forested area and some rock quarries and whatnot. Hard to see if there's any. You don't necessarily see much below you per se, but that could very well be because you're kind of high. So you only see kind of like terrain, but doesn't seem to be like any large blobs of army below you because again, your idea was to move kind of slightly away from it.
Well, I'm curious, like, can we see over the caldera to the far side, or is it like kind of?
No,
high
because the clouds are basically covering right below and forward. You don't actually see the location. You know where it's at. The
Is it kind of like a big cloud hill over
Yes.
the top of the caldera, and then the surrounding areas are more clear?
Yes, so away from the caldera is clearer, but again, the cumulonimbus clouds and the stormy clouds are more concentrated in the area surrounding the caldera itself.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to even tell what the terrain of the caldera is from where you are.
Is it like patchy, or is it like a
Nope,
solid?
it's solid.
block?
Yep, it's very solid towards the caldera itself. The second phase is getting into that clouds, so that's kind of like the terrain and the clouds itself. You'll be hidden from inside the clouds, but yeah. So anyway, so going back to Nilsson's team.
All right. Well, since I don't see anything, and our whole point right now is to try to bypass anybody seeing us, I think that Gelfin being Gelfin, he's trying to figure out, using his spells, is there a way I can sort of shroud us in some sort of cloud-looking thing, even if it looks a little odd because it's sort of a moving mist or something, but just to obscure how many of us there are, or maybe even as we get closer to any sort of cloud cover using what is it called? Thunder wave or something, just to make a sound, to make it feel like we're more of a natural phenomenon than we are.
So what are you suggesting that skill Gelfin will be using in this case? Because I can see that happening, but let me know.
I mean, I guess it's sort of stealth, or if it's even, I don't know. It would, I guess it would have to be stealth.
Okay. I would actually allow you to roll nature in this case if you wish to use it, because I would say that using your magic and knowing nature a little bit more, you can try blending it, making it more natural looking, and you have the experience as a druid. Only if you wish to use it. If you're gonna use stealth, because Gnarl used stealth, I will have to add difficulty on the DC, because it was just used. So
I thought he used something else. Dang it. Okay,
Yep.
never mind. Not stealth. Nature.
Do you wish to use nature?
It would have to be Gelfin.
Well, you said Gelfin. Unless...
Then yes, I guess so. No,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I said it. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
Remind me how I roll that.
So other question. Are you actually using some type of magic, like a spell, or you're just using his natural knowledge about nature?
If it helps, I would want to use some sort of spell, yeah.
Okay. What spell in your... Because this is basically, if you are going to use a spell, then it will give you an advantage to this roll, but you have to use that spell slot.
Which was it I say? I said Thunder Wave or... Wait, I don't have...
If it's a cantrip, then it won't really give you advantage because it's not a long rest usage. But again, depending on what you have in your spell list, if you want to use any of the spells.
Well, yeah, Thunder Wave isn't a cantrip, and I don't want to use Control Water. It's the stronger one. If it applies, Thunder Wave.
All right. Okay. Then you have used that spell slot and just remove it manually from the list and then roll with advantage nature.
Okay. Nature. And that is where?
Do you have your character sheet open? Otherwise, it would be under skills. Or...
I do have my character sheet. Oh, there's nature. Yeah. Okay. So, with advantage... Oh, god damn it.
A 9. 9 is the highest.
Bend luck. I will burn 2 sorcery points to apply bend luck.
Okay. So because this is a skill challenge, the bend luck only applies to your team. This is his initiative. This is his turn. Yes. So I was allowing bend luck. I thought the question was, can you use it? Yes, you can use it, but only to your team during your turn. Because at this point, you are in a different dragon. He has his different team. You're not really paying attention. You're guiding your own team, and then at this point, you guys are taking turns. So you're not all aware of what's happening on each dragon's. Okay. Unless you have some sort of communicating across dragons very easily, then I will allow it.
Message.
Yeah, but you don't know who's doing the turn at this point, right? Yeah. I would allow it if it were a telepathic bond, but I don't think it's active because Bob's not here. All right. That was a 9.
Looks like.
All right, Gelfin. So you look around. It is technically Gelfin's first time flying. You look around in nature and it's like, well, storm clouds there. We can hide. We can pretend. Hide behind the natural storms and whatnot. So you command your druidic knowledge and try to make convincing enough a natural form of like thunder around you to kind of like blend in with the distant roar of thunder, the distant booming of the battle below you. You're just trying to differentiate the two and make things sound natural. As you do so, and you create this thunderous echo around you, like rumbling thunder using your spell. You slowly notice on the right side of you, distant at first, small, but there seems to be a flock of ravens heading towards the direction of the party. Seem to be attracted by the sound of the thunder. We go to the next one. Sarah's team. You look around, you look above you where Gelfin's dragon's riding, and you see that you feel, you hear the thunderous wave as well. You look up, and actually right after that happens, I'll allow a free perception roll. Anyone from your team can roll it.
For
It doesn't.
me?
Yes,
My team?
yes, because it's your turn. It doesn't matter who rolls it, but pick one. It doesn't count for the skill challenge. Okay. In this case, who rolled it? The silver dragon. Ilvan slowly looks up and rears her. Is it her or a him? Your choice.
her.
It's a her. Looks up from the thunder and then looks around, and kind of like you feel her shoulder blades kind of like what do you call this, compress a bit, which all the riders, the three people riding, feel it, which makes you look at the direction she's looking, and sure enough, yes, the flock of birds you see in the distance seems to be approaching, and you hear her rumble saying, "I think we have attracted some attention." But they look like
Okay.
birds.
They look like birds. Is it possible for her to learn a little bit more about, I'm thinking either perception or something, maybe magically. I don't know, because she's the one who knows it, so I'm thinking like she has arcana, she has history, she has like perception, to try and figure out, are they normal birds? Are they something else? If there's something else, like, what are they? Like, how can we either deal with them or lose them? Just like to get some more information about what is happening.
Well, so that's a lot of things, right? Either you could perceive or you could lose them. Those are two different things. Which one would you rather prioritize? This is your team basically arguing within each other, like, what should we do now?
What should we do now? Right.
Yeah.
So either try and find out more information about them, or have everyone try and get away from them somehow.
Yep. So narratively, what you can do as a team, right? You guys, one of your people can be the lead and try to perceive it, like you said. Or if you decide to tell your dragon to fly, maybe the rest would follow you. So narratively, which path would you like to take?
I think I'm going to try and go with perception, because if we don't have to break formation and make things chaotic, I want to avoid that if at all possible, because I think that could possibly attract even more attention.
Okay, so you would like to perceive this flock of birds heading towards the party. Who is rolling?
I'm going to roll with my dragon again.
Ilva, using perception. 20. The group on your on dragon back quickly discuss like what should we do, as again Ilva's paying close attention to the flock of birds flying close by or getting closer to you, while the rest of your party is still talking on her back. She kind of slows her flapping and suddenly quickly grunts. "Wizard familiars, we must flee." You manage to detect that.
Is there a way to pass this on to everyone else?
I would say yes. So she mentions this. You hear close enough. Max, your team would have heard this.
Okay.
What is your team going to do and react, if any?
Man, I had a whole alternate plan, and now I'm gonna deal
Well,
with
yep, because this is all cause and effects. You gotta be flexible. The birds are approaching, and they definitely have been attracted by the thunder wave. And according to the most recent information, they are magical creatures.
What does my team know about the mechanics of wizard familiars? I guess.
You have a wizard. An Aladdin would know. What specific? Wizards can see through their familiars and sense through their familiars.
But what are like the conditions when a familiar might be interrupted? Like if we kill them, does that make them more aware of us, or is there something that disrupts their connection?
Depends. If the owner of the familiar is within 100 feet, they can technically sense the same thing that they're kind of like in Game of Thrones. They can warg, right? So they're concentrating. Otherwise, if it's either too far from their master, then the familiar is its own being and would have to either manually report to their master. To disrupt it, if you kill it fast enough without it knowing what happened to it, they would know. The master will know that their familiar died, but may not know why or how they died.
Okay, but if I assume that these familiars are more than 100 feet from their wizard, then the wizard won't be able to tell anything until they get within 100 feet of the familiar again? Right?
So familiars, while they die, they can be resummoned by their master. Takes about 10 minutes, I believe, to cast, unless to recast, which then the familiar can just report like what happened.
Okay.
But it will
And
take 10
so
minutes.
Each wizard gets one familiar, is
Correct.
that right?
That's correct.
And this is a flock?
As far as you know, each wizard only get one familiar.
Okay.
Normally, that is the condition, yes.
Huh. But the familiars, they have their own agency. They're kind of like...
Unless they're being warged in. Unless they're warged in, rather, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
It's approaching, Max.
I gotta look at my characters and...
Oh, you gotta react fast. Time is ticking if you're not looking at the screen. Actually, you guys don't see
How far
it.
away are they? These are like ravens or something, you said?
Yes, a flock of ravens or birds, black birds.
All right. And how far away are they?
A few maybe far enough. Depends. Like what do you want to do, and we'll just do it that way.
I'm wondering, like,
we could rule it based on the plot or how you want to restructure the plot.
About ranged weapons and...
If you wish to attack it, I would say that they may be within range. If you want to flee, they may be outside enough that you have time to flee. So I'm gonna base it on your decision of what you want to do. I don't want to just flat out say you can't do that.
Okay. Do I think they've seen us yet?
It doesn't appear so.
Okay.
There's still some patches of clouds maybe between the two of you, but they're definitely heading towards your direction.
All right. So they've been attracted by the sound, but they're not necessarily homing in on us yet.
Yeah, unless you want to go over there and ask them exactly, what they see. You don't know. You're just assuming all this so far.
Okay.
It's kind of like the big sky thing, right? If you're on a plane, sometimes it's kind of hard to see another plane flying far away from you. So it's kind of like that.
Okay. What's the what are dragons sort of capable of vis-a-vis fire?
Fire.
So, can the dragons kind of create like a puff of smoke, like something like that?
Depends. What dragon are you riding?
The copper dragon.
I think copper is fire.
Okay. So, here's what I'm thinking.
Actually, no. Copper is acid.
Oh, it's acid. Huh. Can I create like an acid plume that sort of rises into the sky, something like this?
Acid. I don't know if
Or is it
acid
like, is the
floats.
acid dragon sort of like liquid? You know, it's
Yeah, it's more like an acid spray kind of thing, not a
Yes.
poison cloud. I know the situation that you're in, and you're trying to figure things out, but I do need an answer.
All right.
Are we allowed to suggest anything, or is it all?
Um,
individual
just to
Alright.
be interactive, I could allow you guys to suggest things, but it's just a matter of I don't think you guys can help him technically.
here? Okay. I mean, I'm just saying if anybody has a suggestion that
Yep.
he might be able to roll
I
with.
mean, Saphira's dragon just said we must flee.
Alright.
That's what she wants to do.
All right. I think here's the plan. So it's going to be kind of a multi-pronged plan here. It's going to be a bit of diversion to folks on the ground, which may cause the wizards to attempt to redirect their familiars. Combined with, I think I want my dragon to kind of give the word to the other dragons that we should do a quick dive to build up some velocity and kind of get out of the path that these ravens are following us on. So we could kind of just want to get out of their trajectory as quickly as we can.
Okay.
And so I want for my dragon to be doing a deception roll with that with this dive mechanic, and at the same time I want Annalidin to assist by using Skywrite.
Oh, what are you trying to write in the sky?
So,
Or how are you gonna use that?
what is the cardinal direction that the main army is attacking from?
Let's say to your left.
Is that like, are they attacking like, but which direction on the compass are they attacking?
Against you, right? So if you're flying towards, I was gonna say against traffic. So let's say that the caldera is east, right? You're heading
East to
east.
west?
Yeah, yeah.
We're going east.
You're heading
Okay.
east. So the opposing army is east to west, and your army is also going west to east.
Wait.
They're slightly north of you if they're on the left side. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess I was imagining if we were going east, then the army would be like attacking to the north flank of the caldera, or are they not that far
No,
away?
they're far enough from you, but slightly north, so far to the left, far north of where you are. But again,
Okay.
you're high, so
Okay, so I want to, and what is the army terminology that
Uh-huh.
these armies use to call their, like, are they battalions? Are they
Sure.
companies? What?
sure, yeah, they're just different sizes.
Which one is bigger?
I believe what is bigger? I think a company is bigger than a battalion, right? No. I think a battalion is bigger than a company.
What is
Battalion
the
is
size
bigger,
of our
yes.
army? Is it about a battalion size?
Does it matter in your decision?
It affects what I'm going to write in the sky.
Gotcha. So what is the intent behind it? And then we can talk
Okay.
about terminology after.
I want to write a message in the sky that is designed to look like a message to the
An
second
army.
army,
I see.
that to tell it move forward in a delta formation from the opposite flank. So I want to do a skywrite that is like designed
Instructions,
to look
basically. Yeah.
like there's another army coming.
Got it.
And of course, we're using skywrite to direct the other army.
Got it. Okay, I know the intent. So you're trying to write. So Annalidin would try to write that, so you can scratch that off from her spell slot. I will allow a deception roll in this case with advantage. It is a true. You are deceiving it in two ways. You're deceiving the direction, and also you're trying to distract armies or whoever is looking and paying attention to what Annalidin is writing in the sky. Who is rolling the deception?
The dragon.
Copper dragon.
And yeah.
Okay.
Copper dragon.
Whatever you want to name your copper dragon.
Within the ransom.
Deception being rolled with advantage. Go ahead and roll it.
Okay. Figure out. Let's see. Oh, how do I do this? Let's see.
If you have your dragon's character sheet open, it should be on the left side. If it's not showing, there is probably the option show edit not proficient. No, deception is its proficiency.
I have all 4 character sheets open, so.
So,
like,
make sure your dragons is open, and
Yeah.
on the left side, I think deception is one of their proficiency. Just click on the deception
just click on the deception. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
And roll
with advantage. 22. Right. After hearing the warning from Ilva, or from the dragon below you, Lethan, the copper dragon, quickly veers off and goes to the side and swings down and dive. The other dragons, seeing the movement, still following formation that Gnarl instructed, without even asking any questions, quickly veer off as well and dive down, getting closer to the ground, getting away from the plane where this flock of birds are on. And at the same time, those who are watching see Analadin quickly point towards the sky, and suddenly the clouds in front of you kind of coalesce and move up and create this long form of like PowerPoint instruction of like words being written in the sky. Whether or not people can actually read it, because it's like a number of words, long instructions. You do notice those who are paying attention, Ilva, those who are with Ilva, the silver dragon, and the copper dragon, who notice the flock of birds, right? You see the birds actually go towards the sky as if like paying attention to what's being written down. And then those who are the other people who are focused on the dive, you can see in the northern end where the armies are clashing, suddenly there's almost like a sudden seize of fire as people suddenly look up. And also temporarily almost like a quietness in the battlefield, slowly like a wave happen. And people are like looking up, and everyone seems to be distracted because no one expected anything of being written in the sky. But as far as you can tell, Lethan and Analadin, the birds seem to have been distracted and has slightly turned their trajectory towards the sky and waiting for the writing to finish. And then in the distance, you hear the sounding of more war horns, for whatever it's worth, on the side of the caldera. Shoaib disappeared and it is his turn. I know you can hear me, Shoaib. I know you're throwing up in the bathroom with all the tension and the stress, but we need you here.
Wait, so can I just ask?
Yeah?
Was that a success?
I'm not gonna tell until you either get 3 failures or 6 successes.
So much more stressful.
These are all narratively happening.
Are all the
You
armies
roll high.
diverting away from the caldera, away from the ravine, so that there's just a nice empty spot where they're like, nobody's coming this direction.
Well, so far I know that mine was a failure for sure, because we got their attention when I intended not to, so...
Alright, Shoaib's team. Riding which dragon? Are you on the bronze? Shoaib?
You're
I don't.
audio
Yeah, I
shut.
don't think we can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There you go. Yeah.
All right, cool. Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. You know, someone was at the door. I had to run.
Oh, yeah.
But
Which
yeah,
dragon
I'm
are you on?
Brass.
You're
Brass.
Brass. Okay. You're Huron. Okay.
All right.
So again, just to re-summarize, right? Gnarl suggested a formation. Gelfin created a distraction, but at seem to have attracted attention instead. Ilva noticed the approach of this flock of birds, and Silver Dragon recognizes potentially magical creatures, familiars even. And Lethan reacted by leading your flight slightly down and diving towards slightly towards the ground, while at the same time creating a diversion in the sky, which seems to have attracted the birds and the army below you. What does your team want to do?
All right. Okay. Quick question. So you said there are 3 phases, right? The first one, which we are trying to do, is get
Approach,
closer.
to the caldera.
Approach. We're trying to avoid getting seen.
Yes.
What were the other 2?
The 2 is once you get the caldera, is still kind of like avoid detection, but get closer to the temple, to where the general location of the ravine is, and then the final one is looking for the correct ravine.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So so now after all that happened, we are are we a bit lower now?
You're a bit lower, yes, unless you want to
So
go
are-
back up.
Okay. Oh, so are we still like above the cloud cover, or maybe?
No, I would
cloud?
say slightly. Actually, no, not slightly. I would say below the cloud cover, in order for an Eladin to actually use the clouds to right and distract, because you can't move them higher than wherever they are.
True. Okay. Let me know if this is possible. So, I want to use Arcana, but I want to use a combination of Arcana and Nature in a way that, since Valkos has expertise in both, so what I want to do is, since we are like in the Well of the Dragons, I'm assuming a lot of ley lines intersect around this parts. So Valkos would use his expertise in nature and arcana to try and figure out where the ley lines are crossing, and then he could guide the dragons to try and hit those points to maybe embolden them to move faster, or somehow advantage in the flight.
Let me give you a free wisdom roll for Valakos with this plan that you're having.
All right. So just a wisdom
Yep.
roll. Let's see.
Just more of a knowledge of what you may recall as you develop this plan, Valakos.
Let's see how that goes. Terrible.
Ah, all right. You're thinking this is a great idea.
Oh no.
I will not allow you to combine, however. It's either you want to use the Arcana to see if Valakos can, assuming it's Valakos, can detect this ley lines that you speak of, or use nature to see if there's something natural phenomenon that you can use to have this, follow again this path of thought that you have. But just as a reminder, nature has been used. So I will allow you to use it, but the DC will be slightly higher if you want to use that. Arcana has not been used, if you want to use it instead.
Yes, no, for sure. I want to use Arcana. I was just suggesting. I was just saying that since he has expertise in both. I didn't know if you were okay with him, trying to figure out ley lines and stuff. So I was like, he has expertise in both, so it kind of makes sense. So.
Well,
Okay.
If you roll the expertise, it does double your proficiency, so there's that.
Yeah.
But again, whether or not that adds anything to the skill
Yeah.
checks
No.
is a different question. But
More for the DM, the DM to accept my,
okay, yeah. Regardless, it's Valakos, correct?
Yes, and
Arcana.
Yes, Valkos and Arcana.
All right.
All right.
Roll it. Dirty 20.
20.
All right, Valakos, you instruct your dragon. Oh no, you focus around you. You're still in mid dive. Say why are we diving? You may not have seen the crows, but you don't question the movement of the team. You are moving as one unit. The dragons are following each other. you Valakos, you try to open up your mind and see like, center of a ritual, magical clouds, arcane circles, slay lines. Let me feel it. Let me guide my dragon. Find the path somehow, however that means. And you relay this idea to your dragon as you like loudly whisper, and it's just like, I feel something this way. You point at the direction, like you have a very strong opinion, slightly to your right, and you point that direction. Your dragon quickly flies that direction, and you just point. And again, you didn't notice the birds originally, and you actually, as you flying, you're not quite close to the ground, but you're definitely lower plane than when you were flying above the ground, right? The sky, and this is Analdin finishing up the writing in the sky. This is all happening like one after the other, and you fly. You dive and you plane out your dragon, and the other dragons kind of like follow your direction as your dragon speeds up ahead of the others, and the others are trying to catch up because you're very insisting, like very confident, pointing us its direction. And as you do so, anyone riding on Max's dragon and Sarah's dragon, you're still paying attention towards the birds because you're the ones who saw it. Like, you see yourselves fly right beneath them as the birds are flocking towards the sky riding that you're leaving behind. But somehow, they don't notice you. Good roll, Shoaib. Good roll. I was almost ready to.
Crazy.
Okay, I will tell you this much. 4 successes. You need 2 more to pass this phase. We go back up to Jeff's team.
Okay, quick question. How old are these dragons we're on?
They're
Are
adults.
They're adults, so they've been around.
A few hundred years.
Okay, so this is what I kind of want to make the argument for. Is there an argument for using insight with my dragon in terms of understanding how wars and battles have been fought? To understand possibly if those flock of ravens are there, their wizards must be, close by in some range, and we can avoid that direction.
How are you associating direction with the what reference point are you using? Because
in terms of like radius. So if the flock of ravens was coming from that direction, and
do you have any wizards on your? You're asking. This is dragon information, right? Dragon knowledge.
Dragon information, yeah, dragon knowledge.
Do any of your dragons? Which dragon do you have? I can just look at their skill.
Organli Thoranix.
The gold one.
The gold one, yes.
Let me just double check. No, I'm more on like if he has any spells. Detect magic, command hunter. What's his wisdom? Give me a free wisdom roll for your dragon.
I keep forgetting. Ability check, saving throw.
Not a saving throw, just a regular wisdom. Yeah. All right, 12. So your dragon would know. The familiar spell. He may not know specifically about battles for sure because metallic dragons, again, have been dormant in this world. Chromatics were the ones more active, right? So as far as battles are concerned, maybe not as much as an adult because there hasn't been a lot of dragon wars in the last centuries or so. Maybe beyond that, the ancient dragons definitely. He is familiar with the familiar spells, with what, interactions with wizards before. The familiar spell technically does not have a range. It's only the range if the master would want to warg to their familiar. That's the 100-foot range. Outside that, the familiar can exist and again have its own agency and report back and fly back if need be. So, as far as the dragon's concerned, that's something that he would know.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered your question or if that assisted, and I can elaborate if you need more info.
I guess I was trying to backtrack and be like, since this battle has begun, how far could these creatures have even flown to get a radius?
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be your intention in knowing that though? Because I also want to make sure that you guys are also trying to make progress, right?
Yes. So that's the idea. Trying to figure out if with that radius and knowing how much time has passed since the battle begun, is there a way that the dragon would know a general radius to avoid?
Gotcha. Okay, I would allow the roll of insight if you wish to do so, and you're just gonna triangulate and see, and hopefully your guess is correct.
All right, here we go.
It's gonna be a hard check though, because you're basing it on assumption that they are recently summoned.
Awesome. Well, Eris is here. She can bend luck if need be. So let's try this.
Sorry, what was the dragon's name again?
Erganli Thoranix.
Thor.
And you know what? Fuck it. Just to be safe, I'm gonna add discard 2 sorcery points, add bend luck, so that adds, I think, a d4.
Okay, roll the d4. Plus 3, a total of 26.
All right.
So because Aris assisted here, Thor, your dragon, kind of mumbles to your team, and you hear like, if there's familiars around, the masters might be close by. And he starts scanning the area, and again, looking above you now, you see the flock of birds fly out. He takes his best guess and starts flying further to the right. But Aris kind of like squeezes on one of the scales and actually like, try this direction slightly. Doesn't ask a question, he just like flinches a bit and then veers off slightly to the left and lower and fly out. And you can see as you fly quickly and the rest of the other dragons following behind you, Aris's group, you see below you, because you're flying slightly closer to the ground now, you see beyond a rock quarry with some trees, you actually see some towers. Makeshift towers, basically. That seems to be like guard towers that were erected farther to the right direction that your dragon was about to turn. But you managed to veer to the other direction, and you kind of like follow a different path. That seems to be pretty straightforward and somewhat okay. Nilsson's team, you are up to bat.
Has insight been used?
Just been used.
Oh, okay. I was busy thinking and I didn't hear it. Okay, in that case, I'm going to do Plan B, which is Yvonne Splintersphere is going to pray for us to get through this unscathed.
So what skill would this be?
That would be religion.
Religion. So she would pray for guidance. Okay, I will allow that. Kinda, what do you call this? Vague in a way. So unless you want to add more details in here, it could be a bit difficult because it's kind of generic.
Because it's too broad.
Yeah,
guidance.
I would still allow it, right? But without being specific, then it's gonna be a bit harder because I'm also trying to figure out what scenario Yvonne is going for.
Does this have to be like guidance about how to proceed, or can it be? I guess if I can't ask to just get down safely, right? That's too broad.
Yeah, that's too broad. Like, how would that impact? Like, how would that guide the dragon? How would that, give me something to use as a narrative as well? That would help, if any.
Who's in the lead? Is Eris's dragon in the lead?
You are all of you guys are taking turns, so there's not really one specific lead dragon. So in this case, you could technically lead the dragons at this point, or you can act as support. So I'm just improvising it as I picture it in my head.
Then I guess she would ask for Baggy, our dragon, to
Baggy.
for his eyes to be as clear as possible so that he can see any dangers that are coming up.
Okay. And are you still sticking with religion in this case, or would that be more perception? Or something else?
Well, I mean, that's why I wanted to sort of like a blanket, like bless or something like that, more than
Yeah, and
really
again,
perception.
I'm gonna allow like blanket things like that. It's just that again, that if it's not, if it's kind of hard to describe what's happening, well, I'll allow it. The DC is just gonna be harder.
Yeah, I don't have a specific god to pray to here. It's not in our biography, and I don't have anything in mind. So
the other suggestions I can have, unless you haven't used your dragons yet. I mean, the dragons can also use acrobatics or athletics, right? With their flight, just fly faster or lead, increase the pace or whatever. Those are other suggestions as well if you want to use it that way. But again, I would not necessarily say no. It's just how difficult it would be. And you do have buffer, so I'm just gonna say right now too, for 5 successes and 1 failure, so you have room to experiment. If you succeed here, then we are done with phase 1.
Nah, I'm gonna kick it down to the next person. Let's see. Medicine's no good. You know what? F it. In that case, I'm going to switch over to... Maybe she is doing that, but it's not going to be for the role.
Mm-hmm.
Grondorf is going to not grab the whole... Well, he's a big guy. He's going to grab a hold of the dragon's shoulders and go, "This way, let me guide you." And he's going to insist that the dragon go faster, and he's going to try to take the lead. He's going to use his animal handling to guide the dragon and sort of impose his will upon even this powerful creature.
So this is Grondolf doing it, right?
Yes.
Give me a sec. Grondolf doing animal handling. Interesting. Go ahead and make your roll as he imposes his will on the dragon.
It's not gonna go well, but let's see. Oops, what did I just hit?
And remember, your other teammates on your dragon can use either like a long rest resource or a short rest resource to either decrease DC or gain advantage if you wanna, if you have a situation.
Say that again. You could do what?
Anyone on your dragon can use a long rest resource to add advantage, or a short rest resource to lower the DC if any of them are available or narratively make sense. You have that option. Similar to how I allowed Gelfin with advantage to cast that Thunder Wave because he uses spell slot.
Okay. I'm just gonna roll normal for now.
Normal? Okay. Roll it. Dirty 20. Grondolf, as the dragons dive, and the gold dragon was redirected by a halfling pointing to the left instead of the right, and it seems to follow it. And all the other dragons follow the gold dragon, and sure enough, what dragon are you riding? What color? Are you on the
or no bronze?
Yeah, the bronze. The bronze dragon with Grondolf behind it. Seemingly, I don't know why, or it may or may not be the reason, but Grondolf suddenly just decided to take reins. It's like, "Fly faster, dragon!" And the bronze dragon basically tries to pick up the pace and fly faster than the gold dragon and take lead towards the same direction you're heading, which then causes the other dragons to move faster. And now you're swooping through the small, you find a small canyon and you just fly through it, heading towards this caldera, and you see the clouds getting closer and closer above you, and you hear the booming thunder getting closer and closer, and it seems like you leave the birds behind you, and like the terrain around you just seems to like zoom in as all the dragons just fly the fastest they can while they can still see through the fog and the clouds, and You make it through the perimeter. The first phase successful. You are now within the caldera and its magical area, and you feel the oppressing pressure within the group. All right, what time do we have? That took about an hour, guys, so we'll do that this time. I'm gonna clear initiative order. I would ask all 5 of you to roll a d20 again, and we'll reset. Phase 2.
So what's the objective in phase 2 now?
Still avoid detection while getting closer to the temple to find the ravine.
Valkos and I tied at being terrible.
I know, right?
Okay, so let me just... that was Grundolf Saphir. Okay, so I see... Oh, Nielsen's leading the way this time.
I would eat 2
Eris
ties. Eris
tied.
and Nilsson also tied.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Eris,
The chances.
re-roll for between first place, Nielsen and Jeff. I think it's gonna be Nielsen, but who knows? Okay, so it's gonna be Nielsen, then Eris, then Jeff, then let's see, 11 is Max, and then re-roll between Sarah and Shoaib. Okay. Shoaib goes last again.
Look, I'm sticking with my 3.
Get them out now. Get all the
I know,
3s
right?
out of the way.
I agree.
All right. So you as the bronze dragon from the middle of the formation just suddenly like flies through like with immense speed as the other dragons catch up. Everyone riding on the dragon back, you see like Grondolf just like waving his hand, leading the charge. But again, as you all approach, flying lower now below the cloud level, at this point you do approach the caldera, and you will see. You will see? No, you will not see yet. The area here is thick with fog. Clouds above you even thicker. You can still kind of see ahead of you. The dragons do have a better sense as they have blind sight, etc., but not too far. So they're trying. As you guys approach the caldera, they do slow down a bit, just so that you do have enough time to react against the terrain in case you're flying too low, as there are some natural terrain that spans above you, some canyons, and you fly somewhat over them, higher them. You bounce back up and down. You're still trying to approach slowly the center of the caldera, where you assume the temple would be at the very top. You do pass to your side some abandoned structures, again similar to the towers that you have seen that you fly through, but they seem to be abandoned. Perhaps, well, who knows where the guards are or whoever was there. But you do definitely see some fortifications that were constructed here, but you fly over them empty. So you feel that you are headed the right direction. Below you, you see some paths heading upwards, and they have been well traveled. You see some tracks while even still flying slightly high, you definitely see like large tracks of perhaps vehicles or cars or whatever. This has been well traveled locations. You use some of the paths to head upward and towards your destination.
Can you remind us what the main goal of this one is?
Yes. So the idea here is, again, you are still trying to make your way now towards the center of the caldera, towards the temple, because that's where the general area of the ravine is. But your objective is still to avoid detection. This area is definitely, in your assumption, more heavily guarded as you are getting closer to the heart of where the dragon cult or the remaining dragon cults are, who are not participating in battle. There may be more challenges of more eyes facing. You can't really fly too high now because you definitely need to see where you're heading. So avoid detection while still getting closer to the temple without being detected. Well, that's the same thing I'm talking about. Yeah, get closer to the temple without being detected. But you are now the terrain of the caldera itself is basically what you see below. You don't see the army anymore. You passed them. They're beyond your sight, beyond the clouds and the fog. You are somewhat hidden, again with the atmosphere or the terrain and the weather effect here, but technically, potentially, the opposing force could also be shrouded, and this is definitely their home terrain. So you have to be doubly a bit more careful in what you do. Okay. With that said, because Grondolf has led the Bronze Dragon ahead, it seems to be it makes sense that Nilsson's group is the first to act.
I'm trying to think back. At what did we decide we were going to be invisible at this part?
I think we said great invisibility only lasts like a minute, so I think that was a sort of
So right
not
before
everyone
we
has
need
it. That was a sort of like if like we really need to just fucking disappear for some reason, you know, like a last ditch sort of thing.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to say that Baggy is going to use perception to just try to detect any hidden enemies.
All right, sure. Perception. Yeah, everything resets, by the way, just in case people forget. So all skills are all available, and all your units, your characters are available as well. 27. So, with still in the lead, the Bronze Dragon flaps less and again slows down the flight as from the fog before you, you see the terrain structures of like a large pillar to the side, and boom, your dragon veers to the left to avoid it. The canyon that you're trying to follow as you're flying below detection kind of like comes up at a dead end, and the dragon would fly up, and all the other dragons behind also kind of like follows, and everyone who's riding kind of feels the wind and their hair is as well flowing. The air is definitely colder here, sticky in some ways, but cold. Saphira, you feel kind of normal. It's very comfortable for you.
Both me and my dragon are like, yeah, this is great.
You fly up, and without guidance, your dragon, Nilsson, Baggy, as you call him, you see move in its own direction, as you do notice below you again some of the abandoned areas. He's definitely using his blind sense and his dragon senses to kind of like avoid any structures, so that not even risking any potential that there might be some fortification still there, any minute structure that might be artificial or man-made. Once he sees it, he kind of like quickly, and not quite erratically, but very quickly just moves back, right? Or change directions. And the dragons behind are able to follow quickly. And so far, because of those movements, so far it seems to be quiet. Jeff's team, to you.
Okay.
The group is erratically moving through canyons and overland, still making its way eastward up the mountain now, following somewhat of the terrain. It's a large mountain, so there's still a few seconds before you reach the top. But every few seconds count.
Okay. Can you tell me if this is either insight or survival? The idea that I want is, it's actually, you hit upon it. It's looking for the man-made structures in terms of this is where, if I were an opposing army, where would I want to place a man-made structure to get the greatest view, to decrease the amount of blind spots as possible,
Okay.
In this whole area. So
who are you suggesting would be doing this?
I guess it depends on, it's either Eris or Thor working together. But like, because that's why I'm like, do you think it's insight or survival?
I would lean more towards insight than survival in this case.
Okay, then I think Eris would mention it, and then Thor would try and do the calculations.
You guys are relying on your dragons. Good. Okay, so insight with Thor.
Dude, we've never had dragons before. This is so fun. Like, of course I'm gonna use a dragon. It's so exciting.
Yeah. So insight, trying to assess and predict where the army placement would have been made that would give them the best advantage, and therefore know where you are, what areas to avoid. Okay. Go roll it.
No! Okay, wait a second. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna use Ben Luck, but I wanted to ask, did we use it wrong according to your rules? Because technically you said if it's a long rest resource, it should be
It should be advantage technically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should not have a +4, which is a straight advantage. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
So
You want to use your
Again.
sorcerer points?
I'm gonna use sorcerer points.
Okay.
And then do it again.
Yeah, reroll because it's advantage. This is phase 2. Aris guiding the gold dragon. Aris having some knowledge of how her warlord father had led the army, kinda also loudly whispered to the dragon, avoid these certain things, and the gold dragon would also yell out saying, I am keeping my eye out. He's trying to avoid elevated areas that would give a good vantage point if they were looking down towards the path coming up, right? You definitely see from, as the fog clears, as you're slowly flying through them, certain barricades have been placed to stop armies. Certain passages have been collapsed with boulders blocking the path if you were traveling on ground. There were certain areas where you actually see perhaps 1 or 2 kobolds running through caverns to caverns, but they seem to have not detected you. The dragons fly behind you, following the gold dragon. And suddenly the gold dragon somewhat flaps his wings almost as if he's trying to break as quickly as he can. And as he does so, Aris, you kind of, because the gold dragon basically takes the lead as well, takes the lead as the other dragons following behind you. But everyone behind the gold dragon sees the gold dragon almost signals a stop as he flaps against in front of him, almost as if he's avoiding a wall. But his Aris, you have front view. His head basically tilts up and backwards, trying to avoid something, and his arms pull back. And at that point, you hear a single "ping," but you don't see anything. And the dragon says, sorry, what was this? There was something there. We must move quickly away from this area. Now! Whatever that was, Kira's not with you guys, so I can't tell what the spell was. But Max, unfortunately, it would be your turn, as suddenly all the dragons kind of like just stopped and is in a hover right now.
Okay.
We have hummingbird dragons.
So, I've been looking at the biography of my dragon here. And the copper dragons,
Trickster.
they are pranksters,
Yep.
joke tellers, riddlers, and they really appreciate a good joke.
Yeah.
And so Hoke wants to motivate his dragon to greater focus and determination by making a joke at the expense of our enemies.
Well, you don't see any enemies right now, though.
He's specifically making a joke at the expense of the ravens from the previous encounter.
Okay.
And the joke he is telling the dragon is, "What's black and blind and red all over?" He's kind of like saying this to his dragon. He's like, "Those ravens we just dunked on back there."
Okay, so now you are distracted, disadvantage on all rolls. I'm just kidding. Your dragon appreciates the joke. But then suddenly the gold dragon in front of you breaks and you almost hit it and then flaps back. What do you do?
Okay, so we need to kind of go around whatever this is. Probably. Can we see? So did we hear on my dragon? Did we hear this
Nope.
ping noise?
Only Aris's dragon and thing. And again, this is happening like a split second after a thing because again, like Nielsen was alluding to, dragons don't really hover per se on thing, but there's a quick break and then you just basically have to react like what is your movement because you this is an infiltration unit. You guys don't really have a lot of time to decide. It's just action, action, action. That's the narrative.
Okay, so I think my dragon. I want to use a perception roll with my dragon to see what it is we're trying to avoid here.
So just to remind you, right? Perception has been used. It will increase the DC. You can still use it, but I just want to make sure that you are aware.
Oh, perception's been used.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if I have some other options here.
Again, just because the DC is slightly harder doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible. Like I said, there are easy, medium, and hard DCs. We don't know which area it belongs in. If you really want to use it, you can.
Would insight makes wait his insight? Oh no, insight was just used, right?
Insight was just used as well. Yes.
Just used. Okay.
You can just
Keep up, Max.
you can just take the fail if you want to push it to the next person without doing anything.
Would an Arcana roll make sense to attempt to discern what sort of a spell was being used?
You may.
That
Sure.
we interacted with.
Yeah. Who's assuming who are you gonna be using if you want to use that?
So I think this would be Analydin.
Analydins, okay.
Analydin.
Yeah. Arcana.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think she's going to attempt to figure out what sort of spell we're interacting with.
Okay.
Here.
Do an Arcana. $14. Let me just double check. As Hulk is joking with the bronze with your dragon, and suddenly Thor, the gold dragon, again breaks in front of you, almost hitting him. Analden realizes that there's probably something that's tapping him, and he opens up her senses and just kind of like, does she have detect magic by any chance? Is it prepared? If she has it, if not, that's fine. I'm just making sure I have the narratively correct.
Detect magic, is that like a first level?
I think in maybe first or second.
I don't see it.
Okay. Then she just opens up her mind and doesn't cast any spells in particular, but realizes as you do get closer, this is a magical area now. As you're getting closer to the temple, those the magic users in any of the dragons would have felt again the oppressive pressure of maybe evil, maybe something else, but the presence is there. But as she opens her mind, she definitely detects something. It's actually a mix, as she yells it out. And Holkrith, also on your dragon, would somehow be familiar with certain things. At actually, Analadin points to certain rocks around below and to the side of the terrain. And as collectively your dragon members look over, notice that there are glyphs of wardings around the area. That slowly makes sense. And you don't exactly know what these spells are, but they have been embedded for a reason, and Hulk is aware of certain things, as Analdin also explains what they could be. But knowing that and seeing those runes written, and these are big runes actually, not just like made by humans or something. It was embedded on the rocks but somewhat hidden. And Nalin was able to point certain with the help of Hulk, also points out certain locations where the runes seems to be less, or there are no runes written, whereas this area is definitely heavily written with certain runes, this path forward. So you manage to then diverge. You quickly turn to one direction and starts pointing like, this way is clear, and then the other dragons and also the gold dragon kind of like redirects and kind of like veers towards the direction that your team seems to point out. So okay, I can't use that because you guys managed to get away. Dang it. By 1 point, by the way, Max.
Oh my god.
It is a 14, so you met it. Sarah.
Okay. All right. So I think so basically we just, we saw these runes. We realized like there's some other paths around.
Let me correct something, right? Holkrit's dragon saw the runes. You did not. But they pointed the direction, and again, because this is quickly happening, you don't have time to ask questions. You just followed. So you did not see the runes. You don't know why you veered, but it seems important if the dragon, stopped and redirect, and the other dragon redirected. So now you're flying parallel instead of towards the center, but now you're finding your way back up again with the help of.
I hear Eris's dragon say like, we need to get out of here?
Yes, yes, because that one he yelled out. Yeah.
So then I think Ilva is going to. She's heard that. She knows we redirected. She's thinking like we're trying to like get out of an area, like get away from here, and like this is a good direction. We're gonna go in this direction, and I think she wants to try and use her athletics because she's like the tank. She's the strongest dragon, so she's like, I'm gonna take the lead. Like, let's, I'm gonna pick up the pace. We're gonna like get the fuck out of there because something just happened and we need to leave.
Okay, just gonna. All right. Fly forward, fly through, and fly straight.
So
Ilva, with your athletics, go ahead. As Max's dragon flies and leads the team parallel and lateral towards the runes, and finally, and you're flying sideways, and your dragon Max is still looking for like the right direction, following where Analadin and Hulk is just still pointing. They're still there, and finally, Analadin yells, "There, over there, over there!" Ilva just like, we're wasting time, and then boom, zooms in, almost hitting your dragon as she's in a hurry and just like barrels through it. And the other dragon's flapping in like, well, let's follow her, and then just like flies through, right? And with breakneck, neck-breaking speed, trying to just fly as fast, because again, every second you guys waste is another person or multiple sacrifice being made. Still that in mind, so you're definitely trying to hurry. The battle is still raging, and again, the longer the battle happens below you, soldiers are dying as well. So keeping that in mind, the dragons are still holding back, because the metallic dragons also have not shown up in the battle yet at the same time, not to attract the other dragons' attention. But you managed to just, again, barrel forward, and now I need Ilva to make a free perception check. As Ilva, you lead the rest of the dragons flying forward, sometimes low on the ground, almost hitting one of the terrain, fly up again in the thickness of the fog. All the other dragons follow you. You're leading this charge, and just as quickly as the fog kind of clears in front of you, you're slightly above and you're just flying through. Slowly, Ilva senses something and slowly flaps quietly, and the other dragons also follow suit. And at this point, all of you, all the riders and all the dragons also notice, not quite in front of you, but farther to the left, amidst canyons and holes within the terrain itself, you suddenly see fire, boom, explode, almost as if the volcano is active. And as the fire dies and it clears some of the smoke, you realize this is where all the hundreds of chromatic dragons seem to be there, nested, looking towards where the battle is, and they're just there staring intently at the battle, waiting perhaps for a signal. And from your vantage point, they have not seen you, at least not yet. Multiple colors of black, white, blue, red, and green, slowly crawling on top of each other, from young ones to adult ones, and them breathing fire, some of them snapping at each other, whereas a couple of the more older looking dragons batting its wings, stopping the young ones from moving, as again they stare intently at the battle, and yet not participating, at least not yet. Shoaib, it is your dragon's turn.
Dude, no! My heart is racing, man. All right, okay. So, can I reuse Valakos?
Yes, this is a new phase, so
Okay.
everything's free.
All right. So, seeing the chromatics, Valakos is, I mean, like he has like goosebumps all over, and suddenly, I want to use his nature. This time, he spots what looks like a lava tube. You know, an ancient like lava tube, which he thinks can fit a dragon flying through it, and it should give us cover as we, you know, maybe make a few hundred feet hidden in it. So, and he will burn his channel divinity knowledge of the ages.
Knowledge of the ages. Okay. Is that a short or a long rest?
This one can be both. Yeah. So like a short or long.
So short. Okay. So if it's a short, if it includes a short, then it's a short rest because that's the sooner you can get it. So
Yes.
it will just lower the DC. Okay. So you are going to use nature. Interesting. Okay. But yeah.
A question: If I burn my darkness, which is long rest, would it decrease the DC more?
No. You can only do either one or the other, right? One resource only, right? But
Okay, so-
a long rest, a spell in this case, a spell slot. It's a spell slot, right? Darkness, or is it a cantrip?
Darkness is not a spell slot. It's like an innate casting ability. So I have.
But you can use it once per day.
Yeah.
So that would be an advantage. So you can either use it for advantage or you can use your knowledge for lower DC.
Okay, then for advantage then. So I
You
want
use your
advantage.
darkness. Okay, so you're
Yes.
gonna use magical darkness to cover you while you're leading your dragons, which have blind sight, so that works for them. To find one of the lava tubes and fly through them for cover. I will allow it.
Okay. It's advantage, nature.
Nature.
Okay.
Ooh, 20.
The other one was a freaking 5.
Valakos, the area around you, already foggy, is already dark as well. Were it not for the breathing fire, the dragons, and some of the lightning, you probably would not even have noticed them as they blend in the darkness. But just in case, you add your own darkness around the group, and you lead your dragon. Which dragon is this again? Is it the brass? Sorry.
Brass.
The brass dragon. You right before you cast darkness, you see one of the big lava tubes, old lava tubes, there's obviously no lava left. It's dried out. This is a dormant volcano after all. Large enough perhaps to allow dragon flight, at least one at a time, not side by side. So you would lead the way. You let your dragon lead as well. And you close your eyes and you hope that your dragon is experienced enough to feel it. But as you realize, you're getting the hang of flying, Valakos, with that 28. As you're feeling it, you kind of detect some of the air pressures that the dragon seems to be riding. And as you're flying through it, you feel the air pressure around the wall kind of like tell you how big and large the gap is in the darkness. And you feel like if there's a blockage in front of you, you feel like the air stops, so you feel the dragon then swoop down and then use it. The different currents kind of like feel your way through it. The dragons behind you following way seems to be very comfortable as well. None of the dragons, chromatic-wise, that seems to be paying attention to the battle, notice the movement of the party. I'm slightly hurrying here because you're getting closer to 6 o'clock. So, Nilsson, back to you. You have 4 successes. You need 2 more. And 1 failure.
How far away are we from each other?
At this point, you guys are probably close enough so that you guys can follow each other within this tunnel. And I would say at this point, you emerge from the other side of the tunnel, leaving most of the chromatic dragons behind you. Or the area where the chromatic dragons are behind you, yeah. You're getting closer to the top now. You're very close. Lightning strikes from every side. The thunder is louder here. The clouds are definitely thicker.
Oh, look at that. Wow, I really got nothing with these people.
Again, you can just take a fail and pass it to the next person.
Yeah, I guess I could do that, but that makes no sense. And again, we know that the chromatic dragons are nearby, but
yes.
Do I see any other creatures that are not dragons that are in this area?
No, not yet, because you just exited the tunnel, and once you exited from Shob's dragon's lead, you definitely see a lot more fortifications here, and there are some humanoids moving about, but not quite where you are. Almost like behind where the chromatic dragons have gathered, so farther to your left, so not quite close towards you. That doesn't mean that there aren't any close by that you haven't seen yet, so potentially there could be, just be careful. But you haven't seen them yet, if any. As you get closer to the temple, the fortifications are definitely becoming more prominent.
All right. The only thing I can think here is that Gelfin is probably desperately looking for cover or places to hide. So he's going to be trying to direct or at least point out to as many people as will pay attention. It's like, that looks like a good spot. That looks like a bad spot. Go over there. Don't go too close to that sort of thing.
So are you doing what, stealth here? Perception? Nature?
I guess it's either stealth or survival, because that's sort of his thing. It's just anything to survive, even if it's not necessarily stealthy. Just like what makes sense in this instance.
Okay, I would allow that if you wish to use survival. Are you locking it with survival? Or stealth?
I don't think it matters either way.
If it doesn't matter to you, then use survival.
Oh, someone wants to use stealth next.
I I don't think it matters enough for me not to use survival, so I'll use survival.
Use survival. Go ahead and roll survival, Gelfin.
Oh, don't suck, don't suck, don't suck. Okay, that sucked.
12. This is phase 2.
You do not survive.
No, phase 2. Where's my macro? Phase 2. Oh wait, no, that just happened. I can't use the dragons again. Okay. All right.
Blue was like, "Oh, let's encounter the chromatic dragons again."
I can't. Well, I have a roll table of some of the scenarios that happen. So the dragons already happened. So I can't reuse that. At least not yet. I have my own rules on my end. So, Gelfin, looking at the natural formation here in the caldera, you have a vague idea of like, oh, okay, canyons and natural formations of things similar to what Aris, well, you didn't know this, but kind of like narratively similar to like what Aris is pointing out as far as like good places to potentially put towers. You're using your own knowledge, like potentially where could people hide and what you can use as cover as you fly through while still beelining your way towards the temple. With the least amount of risk being detected by whatever guards and fortifications that you've seen. And there's some patterns on how they are, how the cult has established their fortifications. They seem to be building more on paths that would allow groups of large set of people. That's what they're blocking, and that's where they're putting fortifications against. Whereas those with harder terrain seems to be, for the most part, left abandoned. And you can use those certain hard terrain to hope that no one is there, and at the same time use the natural formations to like fly through. And you're still instructing your dragons again, fly slightly slower so that it doesn't disturb the air too much. That would cause more people to question the natural balance of things, even though this area is still like, manifesting magically fogs and whatnot, right? So you're still trying to maintain that stealthness while using what you consider would be natural. And with all that said, the dragon seems to understand what you're trying to convey to it. As the others also follow suit, you're flying slowly but still towards the direction. You're using whatever terrain you can. And as you are making good time heading upward, you almost kind of see the summit from where you're flying. Slightly, you don't want to fly too high, but you don't want to fly too low, too high that you may be seen, and you don't want to fly too low in case like you hit terrain or there's some guards there. So you're trying to find that middle area. But just as that happens, a magical lightning bolt kind of like strikes to your left, strikes to your right, and you realize that as you get closer to the caldera, it's not just the guards that a potential risk here. The magical energy around it seems to be used as a natural protection, or magical protection as well. I would actually want you to have your dragon roll a dexterity saving throw, please.
Hold on. I lost
so narratively, what happened here is technically it was a failure by 2 points, but the penalty here is not detection, rather it's potentially being struck by this lightning and just take damage, just to let you guys know.
But it still counts as a failure.
It still counts as a failure, however.
So we're 4 and 2.
Yes.
Excuse me while I shit myself.
So open the dragon and then click its dexterity save.
Saving throw.
Yep. You need a 15. Ooh, the dragon takes 26 points of lightning damage.
acid dragon. It's so bad.
As it tries, as Gelfin is trying to lead the dragon, and the dragon is moving, one of the lightning strikes, it avoids, but then another one strikes as quick as the lightning, almost hitting the passengers riding behind the dragon. But the dragon, seeing it, kind of veers last second and use its wings to kind of like cover everyone behind it, instead taking the brunt of the hit. So minus
Can I
26.
take half damage because I'm a lightning dragon?
Oh, you are? Then yes. Yes. You are resistant to lightning. Perfect dragon to get hit. That's why he was your dragon was able to kind of notice the lightning arc and manage to guard itself or its riders, because it's familiar with lightning. Okay, good job. Okay, yeah, half damage, so 13 points.
Yay!
Jeff, to you. As you said, we have 4 successes, 2 failures.
Right. It's up to me to make sure we keep it going, and then it's gonna be max. The bases are loaded. 2 strikes. But hold on, let's get this right. So first, Gnarl, being on Thor, notices Gelfin's dragon like slow down and start doing this stealth-like maneuver, and Gnarl's like, "Wait a second, I recognize this. Like, I'm a stealthy creature. This is exactly what I would do, except with the air." So he starts getting a feeling for it. Then he starts seeing this, like the area effects, right? So he has
lightning strikes. Yes.
Exactly. So he understands that too. He has both I'm trying to get the names. I accidentally clicked out of it. Fancy footwork and evasion.
Okay.
As a rogue, and having been successfully, guided the dragons first, with stealth, he was just like, "Let's do it again. I'm gonna tell you what to do. We're gonna tell you how to move around."
And as you're saying this, you see the lightning dragon get hit by lightning, and this is like, not like that.
Yeah, and he's sort of like, okay, it was a lightning dragon, so he probably just attracted it to himself. But who knows? Lightning dragons, I don't understand. Anyway, so Gnarl, actually, I guess I would ask you, because I asked you last time, would this be more stealth or instructing in acrobatics?
I would allow either. Just tell me what the story is.
So that's the story. It would be like Gnarl is like, I understand this.
No. So yeah. So if that's the story, then yeah, you tell me. Like, so,
Okay.
Which one?
So we're already going slow. We're trying to move around all these structures. We're coming out of the lava tube right now, or we're still in?
No, you're out of the lava tubes. You're beelining still towards the center. And yeah, you're just trying to avoid detection. You're finding the middle ground between sky and land. And one of the dragons gets hit by lightning, but you carry on. And Gnarl is trying to instruct your dragon to do better.
Do better. And because he has this innate understanding, he's gonna lock in, hold on to the dragon, be like, okay, listen to my every movement.
Yep.
I'm gonna teach you the ways of how we 2-footers do some acrobatics, I guess.
Acrobatics. Okay, I'm locking it in.
Locking it in. Here we go.
Acrobatics. That's on. Okay, so that's on that. Yeah. Okay. Any adjustments? Because you have options that you've been using. I just want to make sure.
I think that's good. I don't think. What was the actual roll there?
You have a dirty 20.
No, the number 13. Yeah, even if I gave advantage, it's less likely to be a better number. Yeah.
So you're sticking with 20?
Sticking with 20, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad smile.
Okay. As the bronze dragon gets hit with the lightning, instead, your dragon, the gold dragon, takes lead one more time. Seems to be working. This time with Gnarl's instructions, you realize the weather effects, the magical weather effects, are again a threat as well, or a risk as well. So the dragon is now looking above. Gnarl is also looking above, while the dragon is actually looking below, and you try to assist each other to guide threats from above and threats from below. The other dragons then slowly follow. You can't really speed up at this point because you just don't want to take that much risk, right? So you guide the dragons left, right, slightly flying up. You suddenly slowly see the peak of the caldera slowly appearing, and almost from the distance beyond the fog, there seems to be a large structure starting to make form, though you can't really see it quite clearly yet. I would just say that I was successfully guiding the group. So you're okay so far with the dirty 20.
Bottom of the ninth, Max. It's all you.
5.
Actually, real quick, Bloom.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be immune to lightning damage?
Oh, immune means no damage. Are you immune?
Then I got no damage then.
So, are they immune to lightning? Not resistant?
Well, according to my sheet here, damage immunity is lightning.
Oh, then yeah. That's why the dragon covered you. To take basically as the lightning basically flows through, almost like as if it's grounded. The riders of your dragon basically huddling together. I'm thinking, waiting for the worst, but yeah, it almost tickles as like almost a slow current goes through you. The dragon just absorbs the lightning. No damage. Return those hit points back.
So that 13 was more of like, oh, that was surprising, but I'm good.
Yes, exactly. Good point. All right, and that's why you pay attention to your dragon, boys and girls.
Alrighty.
All right.
Also, Sarah and I talked about it. We moved our dinner so we can actually go till 7 hard stop.
Okay.
If everybody else can as well. So
I don't want to go all the way to 7, but we can definitely finish this.
Okay, maybe this phase, because there's one more phase after this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Max, we are at 5 success, 2 failures. 1 failure. We'll find out what the failure is. That would dictate what the scenario would be. Or success would mean that you would be entering the 3rd phase of the skill challenge.
Okay. So, this is going to be a team effort between Hoke and, we're going to call him Lith, just to shorten his name as well. So, here's what's going to happen. Who is the lead dragon in our formation?
Gold
right
dragon, Jeff's dragon.
Okay, so Hoke and Lith are kind of kibitzing together for a little bit, and they've developed a plan. And so Hoke is going to look at the gold dragon, and he's going to use message, and he's going to point at that dragon. He's going to say, "We're taking the lead. Listen for instructions."
Okay.
All right? And so Lith is going to fly up to the lead of the formation, and he's going to use greater invisibility.
Okay. So that's going to give you advantage to, depending on what role you're going to be using. Are you turning your group invisible?
Yes.
Okay.
We're turning ourselves invisible, and the intent here is for our dragon to take a larger lead in front of the group, flying somewhat further ahead.
Okay.
And we're going to be using perception to try to look for danger and traps along the way.
Perception was already used.
I know, but we're going to use it again.
Okay, so you're going to risk it? Okay. Whose perception?
The dragon's, Lith's perception. And meanwhile, Hoke is going to be in constant message communication with the lead dragon in the group, because they obviously can't see us.
They can, actually. Dragons have true sight. They can see invisible.
Okay. Well, in any case, Hoke is still going to be, listening to... The dragon's going to be telling Hoke everything he sees, and Hoke's going to be relaying it back to that lead dragon to keep him... to basically give him directions. And so they're going to be, scouting this clean path, looking... The invisibility is primarily to evade minions, but they're also going to be looking for any magical traps, and they're going to be trying to relay this path back to the lead.
I will accept it. Okay, very good scouting. Okay, so remove that spell slot from whoever's casting it, and you gain advantage on this perception roll.
This is down to 2 of 3 4th level spell slots. Alright. So, perception roll with advantage?
Yes. Are you keeping that? Are you adding anything that you... if you have anything? Or is it a dirty 20?
Hold on. Maybe... Can Hope give a bardic
Oh,
inspiration?
actually, no. Actually, you can't do anything else because you already technically used the resource that you can use, which is the advantage. So yeah, it is a dirty 20.
Oh shoot.
Hold on. Let me look for the scene. All right, Hulk. You message the gold dragon, Thor, the plan of leading. Says, I'll scout ahead, or my team will scout ahead, and will point out potential risks so that you can avoid it. Try to follow further behind. If I'm detected, it would just be me. Kind of like that's the idea, right? So that the rest of the party would at least be spared. So you make your way invisible, dragon casting it on itself, affecting all the riders behind it as you now beeline. And as you fly, the closer you get to the center, now you see a slew of army trying to ready and fortify their the locations as boulders are being pushed by some giants up here. Young dragons are assisting again, which is an incredible sight, especially to the metallic dragon that you're riding, to see dragon and giant actually helping each other in this case. Some of them lighting out large trees that have been cut and using it as a flaming barricade as they're putting large stakes on the ground. You find a large central path where all the other paths are combining, are basically connecting towards each other. If anything, you're using this path now as you assume directly leads to the main entrance of the temple itself, and you feel that you're getting very close, avoiding the detection still. No one is looking up. No one seems to be hearing the flapping of the dragon wings as your dragon tries to beat very slowly while still moving forward. Hulk, you look behind you, casting the message, trying to instruct the other dragons behind you, and you see them from a distance, not quite dots, but they're different colors, like slightly glistening in the as a lightning strikes. You see the scales glisten slightly, and you know that you're still being followed, and they're following well behind. No one is straying. You make your maneuver. You're flying. As you get closer, you're trying to like control your anxiety, trying not to speed up too much, but at the same time trying to keep pace so that the other dragons can follow you. And then at one point, all of you slowly see the big in front of you appears the temple. Is everyone here? Yes. Take form as within the top of the caldera in the central area. You see a large gargantuan temple covered in thick fog, and above, the storm is at its strongest. Lightning strikes to the left and right, and sometimes even hitting this temple. Below it, you see the path again that crawls down towards you, what you're following. And beside the temple, you see a lot of skeletal dragons. Dead, but the skeletons of old dragons basically on the ground. This is, after all, the burial grounds of dragons, which is why it's called the Well of Dragons. Ancient in its own time. And you see different armies standing in the center. You manage to find the main entrance of the temple, and you quickly veer off to the side. Your roll was a success. As you veer to the side, all the other dragons also veer to the side with Hulk's instructions, and you manage to land on one area to kind of just gather your thoughts, gather the party in one small cube where all 5 dragons would fit. And they look around, and so the next question would be, we must find the entrance or go through the main door. Now, I will ask the party. It is 6:10. Do you want to continue with the last phase, Or do you want to hold off until the next time? In case it takes a while. What's your call?
Yes, please.
Yes, please to what?
Yes, please to continue. Come
Yes.
on, is there?
I
a
feel like I
question?
don't have confidence we're gonna in 50 minutes get through this next.
Bro,
phase.
it's fine. Just the tip. It's just
Exactly. I mean, as far as we can go. As far as we can go.
so you can't go.
And I feel like I would like to wrap up in like 30 minutes at least to allow some time to chat before.
Sure.
So,
Let's do it.
okay.
Do it. Yeah.
Let me just
Nielsen?
bring up.
Okay, these things always go long, just so you know or remember.
So far, that last one also took us close to an hour. Just to let you guys know.
Yeah, we're not
So-
going to finish.
We'll get halfway through.
Okay.
I gotta pee real quick though.
Well, the first thing is new phase, new sets of initiative rolls. D20. Ooh.
Why did I roll that?
Ooh!
Why can't I save that? Oh my god.
Man. It's fine.
Okay, so I see Sarah, Shoaib, Max, then Nilsson with
Hey, Sarah,
Jeff,
go
yeah.
hit roll d20 on Jeff's computer.
What?
Go hit a roll d20 on Jeff's computer.
He's back.
initiatives. Oh, okay, Max and Jeff, roll me.
Roll off
Yeah.
for a third.
Oh, okay, you're consistent. All right, so Max first, then Jeff, and then Nilsson. Sarah, your team goes first. As the party or your flight of dragons collect yourselves in one of the areas close to this temple, you have visual of the temple again. You notice that the terrain around it definitely have a lot of ravines in itself, and some hidden, some very open. From your reports, it's somewhere behind the temple, is what they mentioned. They couldn't really describe it from above because they were scouting it from below. But the general direction, you do have the general direction where it may be. But question is, what do you want to do to kind of assist? Now, mind you, you're still trying to avoid detection while you're doing so. And the main objective, however, is really to find that ravine so that you guys can land, or you can insert your all the teams basically in it, right? So, what would you want to contribute to get to that objective?
Okay, so where we are right now, it's like we need to find where we're going.
Yes, mostly, yeah. Get a
Okay.
be able to look at a ravine, maybe investigate a ravine, maybe just have a general sense. However you want to sense this, you tell me, or you can also focus on just again have other people do that, and you just make sure that you are still hidden and somehow be able to guide the team to avoid the detection.
Okay, I think I'm just
Oh, by the
gonna
way,
start with-
I forget to mention. So I did mention that there are armies and people heavily around the temple, but above, where even though there's lightning strikes hitting the temple, there are winged creatures, not necessarily dragons, flying about the temple close to its perimeter. Valakos and Yvonne Splinter Sphere and Shiny Scaly would recognize some of them as fiends, demons. Fiendish in nature as their leathery wings beat, and some of them landing on the towers, some of them just flying around, looking below, watching people walk by. Okay.
I think I'm just going to do a perception from the dragon, because the dragon is focused on kind of a couple things. Like well, just finding a safe path forward, and that we need to find the path, but we also, like, there's all this stuff going around. So first of all, we need to know what are, like, the safe directions, are there, like, patterns to the flying creatures? Is there, like, a way through we can find based on how people are, like, spaced out and where they're staying?
Okay. Perception from Ylva then. 26. As you do so, Ylva watches the skies, watches the temple. Even the metallic dragons, collectively, seems to be looking at the temple at awe. They have not seen this. No one has seen this before. By the way, you do recognize it from what people were telling you. This is the Temple of Tiamat that was resurrected or summoned from Avernus, the layers of hell. This is Tiamat's temple, or a replica of it. Ylva, looking at the patterns, as you mentioned, Sarah, does mention, I see that, or she sees that the demons seem to be flying in groups of 5, and there is a specific pattern as they fly around the temple, and they stop in each location where there appears to be at least like a window or an opening inside the temple itself. While the temple is very large, could easily fit more than 10 or 20 dragons stacked together. That's how tall it is. Wide is even like impossible to see the other side from where you are at. This is a very, very large temple. You do see that the patrols seem to be less focused behind the temple. They are guarding the front. So you can instruct the team, or you actually, easily enough, you would be instructing the team that it seems to be that the focus of the patrol is to guard the entrance, the main entrance, and nothing else.
Great, and I will spread that information around to make sure everyone knows about that.
All right, which then leads us to Shoaib's team. You have intelligence saying that, again, as long as you don't go directly in front, you probably have a good chance of not being seen.
All right. Valakos is going to use nature again.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a caldera.
Mm-hmm.
They are, I'm assuming, it's like torn apart, like the rim of it where we are, looking down,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of torn apart. So there are
Yep.
a lot of like jagged edges
Mm-hmm.
and, little like, small crevices and stuff. So I see several of them, and almost I can, using my nature, I can figure out, there's a path, through them which we could follow. So I inform Horina or Horima, my dragon, that look there and blah blah blah, and then try and see if we can, follow, do a nature.
I would allow either nature or investigation, actually, if you want.
Nature, please.
Nature. Okay.
And I would like to burn my hellish rebuke, because it's a long rest.
Yeah, but how does that make sense? Because
No.
Hellish Rebuke is a reaction against damage. Does that not make that? It does not make sense for investigation.
Okay, then can I burn a channel? Wait, no, channel divinity is a short rest.
Yeah,
I want advantage.
You can just lower the difficulty. That's
No advantage, man. I don't want to risk it.
Any assistance
Okay.
is better than no assistance.
That's true.
I mean, advantage is higher variance than reducing.
It is. That's why you use a long resource rather than a short resource. But any help is better than no help, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because it has to make sense. Yeah, it has to make sense. You can't just say, I'm just gonna burn this because you can. No, it has to make sense.
No. Yeah, I mean, so far I was going with what made sense, but now I'm at a point I'm like, screw makes sense. I just want to, like min-max the shit out of this. But yes, no, you're absolutely right. It should make sense. How about I burn? How do I do this? A second level spell.
Which is,
The
spell has to make sense.
It is augury. Or augury, I don't know how it's called. So it's essentially like trying to figure out like the results of a perceived path or like a perceived choice.
Yeah.
So basically, I'll be like relying on the gods to tell me or to guide me in a way as to the results
I
of
see.
my action. So I'd
You're
like to burn
trying
that second spot.
it's a divination. Okay. All right, I can see that flavoring it. Sure. All right, you have advantage to your nature roll.
Oh, okay, good. I've convinced the DM. Now it's time to convince the gods of the die.
RNGesus.
Yes, Jesus, Jeebus. Okay.
Are you sure you don't want the 6?
Nope. Thank you, 6.
Valakos, feeling the pressure. You are so close. You are so close to what you need. You haven't used the spell augury before, but you said, you know what? Any type of divination, I need to cast this guidance some way. So you prepare. It's a ritual, it's a ritual spell in a way, right? So you, including your nature, your knowledge of nature, and you use your augury to kind of like, just gonna add this additional magic. Just hopefully it assists, and you feel confident enough as you get back on the dragon and you signal the rest of the party, we're gonna take the lead here. You close your eyes and you touch your dragon, concentrating on augury. The dragon feeling you start walking forward. It spreads its wings, and Valakos actually says, no flight. Let's walk slowly, just to be sure. And you man it, and the dragon nods in order to avoid the demons flying around, at least in this area. The dragons slowly crawl against the wall of the caldera, each of them easy enough to maneuver, dexterously enough. Manage to find some paths, some natural flows as well, crevices. And you're looking, and from a distance you see a big ravine. Valakos. And you look over there, it's close, it's behind the temple. And you rush over there as the other dragons collect behind you. But unfortunately for this particular one, you don't see any tunnels that lead into or out. This is just a hole in the ground. But you manage to pass through at least the first, second, and even the third layers of demons flying above you. You're trying to keep your distance away while trying to still navigate towards where your senses seem to be leading you. You feel confident that you are heading towards the right direction. But what other signs could you use perhaps to identify exactly which ones here is the place you want to be at? That still counts as a success, by the way. It's a 22. Come on.
Yes. Thank you.
Max, your team. 2 success.
Okay.
I have to figure out. I have to roll. Okay.
So we can see a ravine, maybe not necessarily the ravine.
Correct. There are multiples of them in this area. You just have to find the right one.
Okay. Do I know anything about what we might expect to find in the tunnel that is sort of present in the ravine of choice? Like, are there creatures that might tend to live in such a tunnel? Or...
From the reports that Ria Nightshade has shared with you, it is the ravine or the tunnel from this ravine, should you find it, is an entryway towards the temple, but this part seems to be unguarded, which is why it is a good candidate to infiltrate the area. They found this ravine or the particular exit by accident, but it leads toward inside the temple. Within the temple, obviously, are the cultists. They weren't too specific on what they were. They just found it by accident on their way towards the temple. But it was unguarded.
I mean, like, are there like just native creatures that?
Oh no, I understand the question, but that's what I'm saying. They said it was unguarded, so they didn't report any creatures specifically.
Okay. Well, so I'm kind of thinking about whether Hoke could use like a detect creature and name something that would live in this tunnel, like some sort of innocuous creature, but like try to find it. But it sounds like Hoke doesn't know what sort of creature to target.
Yep.
At least not
I mean,
us,
I don't
or-
think Hoke is an expert on caldera habitats and all that, so he can guess what creature may be around.
So, what would be the ability to kind of understand the geology of how these ravines form?
I would say
So-
nature.
That would be a nature thing.
And I would even allow survival, but I don't think. You know what? Maybe Hoke can have survival as well, knowing that his background with the Lost Mines would allow him the ability to understand, digs and mountains and stuff like that. So
All right.
I would allow that if you would, so survival or nature, if it would be Hoke doing the roles.
Yeah, I don't have any high nature. So Hoke's survival isn't that high.
Okay.
Okay.
You could be creative, just as long as it makes sense. And you guys have been creative so far, so I actually, I love it. I love it. This is a lot of skill challenges, by the way, guys.
Other abilities dragon have. Are there any animals nearby us of any type, or is it just completely barren?
I'll allow you a free perception check.
Okay.
You can roll from anyone in your group. Okay. Devoid of life. That's why it's so easy. With the exception of what's patrolling and perhaps the what you can see the semblance of armies gathered by the temple's main entrance. On the terrain itself is dry. Maybe one or two random lizards like crawl on the wall. But that's pretty much it.
No, like little birdies flying around.
Oh, definitely no birds in the sky.
Alright.
And if there were, you can't really see with the lightning storm and the thick clouds. We need a decision, Max.
All right. Well, I think we probably want to make an investigation roll here.
Okay, and what would the investigation entail?
So, I think we're trying to look out at the geology here, and if this ravine is indeed unguarded, the assumption is going to be that there is a belief that nobody could approach through this ravine, right? So, we're kind of going to be looking for a place that is there enough to exist, but not something that's too easy to get into. Because if it looks too easy to get into, I'm thinking that's probably not it, because if it's easy to get into, that they would be guarding that. So I think Aneladin is going to be making this investigation roll.
Aneladin, okay. Investigation.
And so she's looking across the geology of the ravines that they can see and try to look for something that looks like a candidate that could be harboring something that they can't see, right?
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and make a roll. Aneladin does what you just said, Max. Brings up the argument that if this were a natural ravine and it is an entrance to the temple, it does definitely make sense that it would be guarded. The fact that the scouting team of Zenzarims mentioned that it was unguarded makes it seem that the dragon cult is definitely unaware that this ravine even exists, whatever that means. So it might be something that either covers it, something that hides it from above, maybe, or from within. Don't really know, but that's something to think about. And by doing so, then, you, with Analdin's help, lead the party, the whole set of party, maybe on the farther backside of the temple, where again, the patrols doesn't even cover. You specifically pick areas where you can't see any footprints, like most of the tracks of the guards seem to be beyond their patrol area, and even areas that now are almost untrodden. And this temple, from what you have gathered, has been erected a few days ago, and even before that there was a big dragon cult presence already. So you specifically look at the opposite of what's been trodden, and you direct the party towards that direction, hoping that the area you're seeking is actually there. I'm not gonna say what that is yet, but Jeff, it is now your turn.
Okay. So with Ilva, we got some information about what's happening in the sky. With Valakos, we got some information about just not flying and staying down, like close to the ravine. I feel like Thor and Eris, that team, are like, okay, we also still have to, even though there's not that many people here, don't get too cocky. We should be careful because this is a very important thing for them. They could have just placed a simple spell or a simple trap around here and forgotten about it because they trust that they'll be safe here. So Thor is going to cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
Which is a 10-minute concentration, right? Or something like that? Or something. But it lasts.
It lasts for a while, yeah.
And we'll use Stealth.
Stealth.
Yes.
Is it Thor who's going to be rolling? Who's rolling?
Well, I kind of, for flavor, I kind of want Gnarl to do it because he's been so good with stealth. He's just like, let me do it. I'm the captain of stealth now. Let me do it. If you can allow that Thor burn the thing, and then I don't know if that.
Yeah, I would allow it as far as you are collaborating within the party, like Detect Magic. Therefore, he is also relaying information to Gnarl, while Gnarl is also looking around as a goblin. They are very good with crevices and, familiar terrain, perhaps, to them, right? I will allow it. So Gnarl to roll with stealth, you said?
Yes.
With stealth, and you have advantage if you burn that spell slot from Thor.
And we do. Detect Magic. And here we go. Advantage.
26. Nelson, you are going to be on deck, so think of your plan as I narrate this part. So, Gnarl being feeling confident since the last phase, he led the dragon, dancing through the skies and, beelining towards this location, and finally you are here. Gnarl, feeling confident, hops off the dragon and says, I know these places. I can find holes, and while being stealthy. And as he converses with Thor, just to be sure, cast detect magic as well. Smart enough, but yeah, perhaps this area is trapped. And with the two of them together, walking through the different paths and again clambering to some of the walls, interestingly enough, Thor does not detect any magic this direction that you're heading. Not unlike when you guys were flying and there were glyphs supporting. For the most part, the path and the direction that Analadin seemed to have pointed out definitely appears to be untreaded, and therefore perhaps even overlooked. The dragon cult appears to be not focusing in this part of the temple itself. So, you manage to continue heading this general area and still looking at the different terrain around you. Haven't found the ravine yet, but at the same time, haven't been detected either. So, I would consider that good so far for the party. Nelson's team. So far, perception, nature, investigation, and stealth have been used.
One more time, what's been used?
Perception, nature, investigation, and stealth.
Okay, that's pretty much everything I'm good at. Is this area look natural or like it's been worked at all?
No, very natural and not been touched.
Natural and not been touched.
It has not been adjusted or moved or even unaffected by the summoning of the temple. It's in natural condition as far as your people can tell.
And we're going through a bunch of like holes and things.
Yep, you're investigating ravines and tunnels that you can see so far, but so far you have not found what you're looking for yet.
Okay, I'm not a dwarf. I don't know. Grondoff,
Grondoff, okay.
has commune with nature, but I don't know if this applies if we're underground or whatever.
Commune with nature. Is that a feat or
It's innate spellcasting.
Okay, let me just double check what it does. Yeah, it gives you knowledge of the land around you. In caves and other natural underground settings, the radius is limited. It's just a limitation on the area.
Right.
But I will allow it. We'll give you advantage if you wish to use it. But what skill?
I mean, that almost has to be nature, right? Or maybe survival?
I would allow survival, nature, or investigation. Just know what has been used. Nature has been used and investigation has been used. But you can use them again if you wish to.
Well, if you allow survival, I'll do survival.
I'll allow survival. You use your survival to define and use that information along with it. Yeah, sure. So this is Grondolf?
That's yes, Grondoff.
With nature.
Can I have?
Sorry. So you said survival, right?
Survival, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can you have what?
Can I have Splinter Sphere? Does Bless give me an advantage here?
So you're already using your commune. Is a commune?
Oh, right.
That's a
I'm
once a
already
day thing.
that. Sorry, I pulled him down. Let me see. Self instantaneous. I'm not sure. I can't see where it would say that.
Does it use a spell slot? Is it in? Actually, let me just open up his character sheet.
It just says innate spellcasting. It doesn't say spell slot.
Yeah, so if it's innate, I believe it has a limitation on the number. So just to make it easy, I believe it is a once a day thing. So yeah, you just gain advantage.
Okay.
So roll.
So roll survival with advantage.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Survival is okay.
Everybody, cross your fingers.
Sarah, you're gonna be next. 22. All right. From what you can tell, between Analadin leading the way towards like the idea again of a path not trodden by the dragon cults, Gnarl assisting with detection of any traps or whatnot, just to make sure that you are not tripping on anything, along with Thor, and now Gondolf jumping in, assisting, using his natural instincts, his ability to commune with the environment itself, managing to lead the party into the different areas and actually making investigations slightly faster, which, by the way, decreases the DC for the next check. You are now making good time eliminating areas that definitely are not candidates from what was described by the Zentrim scouts. So which then, if you haven't guessed, that was a success. Leads back to Sarah's group with the statistics of 5 successes.
Good, because I'm not going to be able to do past this. I'm out of everything. Okay, so you said that...
So perception, nature, investigation, stealth, and survival have been
Yeah, those
used.
are the only things I have. So we're in an area where you said there's nothing magical, there's no like man-made anything, so like Arcana or history would be useless, right?
Never know. You tell me. You can use them.
Well, I mean, if detect magic kind of worked, maybe you can use Arcana for something.
Yeah, something
You
else
have
perhaps.
Detect magic, detected there was no magic.
Oh,
You never know.
whoops. There's gotta
You
be
never
some
know. I mean, that's what
dark
a
forces at work.
that's what a DM is for, improvising and assisting you guys. But you just tell me what you're trying to do, and I'll either go your way or add my own flavor to it. I can make it work. Assuming you pass, of course.
I mean, I'm trying to debate between doing that or doing something that like I actually could apply to a situation, like survival again, even if the DC is a little higher.
Remember, what Grondov did? Lower the DC of the next challenge. Not gonna tell you by how much, but it did lower it. So, it may balance out, it may not.
Don't overthink it.
This is so stressful.
If you do fail, there will be 2 more chances. You can rely, you are a team, so don't worry about it.
Yes, I'm just trying to not fail. I think I'm gonna go with survival again from Shiny Scaly. Just because
Shiny?
like we're so close.
Shiny's the kobold, right?
Yeah, Shiny's the cobalt.
Also makes sense, okay.
We're so close to it. There's no like man-made features. There's nothing magical. Like we are down to like the bare bones of the earth. And he's the kobold. He knows some stuff about like tunnels and underground stuff and all of that. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way I can help him, but none of the spells that anyone has are vaguely related. It's like, can he help himself with like baning everything that's not them? I'm like, I don't have anything. Fuck, I'm just gonna straight roll it.
Straight roll survival. Alright, Shiny Scaly.
Everybody cross your fingers.
18.
Well, that was a good roll no matter what, so
Yeah, regardless of what the result is, Sarah, you did a good job. All right,
Even though you got us all killed, it was still a good roll.
so we'll continue next week. So you guys are okay, right? So shiny, scaly. At this point, really, everyone in the team is relying on everybody else. Their skills have been applied. The path has been chosen. You guys have paved the direction behind the temple that has seen less traffic, based again on the description and as best as location that was given by the Zentrum spies before they disappeared. Using all that information and also using the innate experiences of each of the party, from Analdin to Grundle's communing with nature, to Gnarl's experience as a goblin, and now Shiny Scaly as a kobold. Also understanding dragons and his kind, who are part of the dragon cult, by the way. Using that information, like, where else would his kind not go to or won't care? Because even kobolds are very inquisitive. Goblins are inquisitive as well. They love putting traps around. Where else would they avoid going? And eventually, you, as a party, go in one direction, and Shiny Scaly, you decide like, let me go over here and check out, a different area, slightly close to the party, but slightly away. And as you crest Shiny Scaly, the terrain, and you look over, and you peek your little head and snout, there, your yellow eyes see a large and deep ravine. And in front of you, almost indetectable, has it not been from your kobold eyes, a tunnel that could probably fit a regular humanoid, leading deep towards the direction of the temple itself. A prime candidate. This perhaps is the entrance that you were seeking.
Good job, Sarah.
6 successes with no failures for phase 3.
Flawless victory!
Amazing.
At this point, Shiny Scaly calls the rest of the party. They make their way, and you find yourselves now at the bottom of the ravine. 40 feet above you is the entrance, the tunnel itself that enters. Each of you congratulate each other. This is the way. The dragons look at each other. They cannot fit in the tunnel. So they await instruction. Should they wait here out in the ravine or rejoin the battle with their kin? They ask each and every one of you so that I know, in case we need to, I know where to place them.
Eris, polymorph them and let's take them in with us.
Oh, what'll happen if if I accidentally lose concentration? They'll just pop up and kill us all.
All right, then you carry them all. You go first.
Actually, I did have a thing that I wanted to relate to everyone. I gave everyone that book, right? That gave the shorthand communication information, right? I want to write a message and ask if Valakos can send a message to the commander telling essentially where the location of all the people that we saw, like where the colored dragons were waiting, how, and then so it's gonna be real shorthand in terms of like D stands for example,
Dix.
dragons, yeah, sure, dicks, and like number, and just see if we can give them
Information, yeah.
information somehow, because we saw all of that, and
So basically, intelligence based on where the army of the dragon cults are located and waiting for on the way towards the temple, right?
yes. So I would ask Valakos if you're okay with burning ascending for that. using our
Can the
short.
dragons not do that?
Oh, can the dragons do it?
Or assuming, check if your dragons have sending.
Not mine.
Mine's
Not mine.
I think maybe one of the wizards could do it as well.
I know that Splinter Sphere can.
Yeah. Oh, because I have burned like 3, 4, 5, 6 spell slots.
Ooh. We haven't
Holy
even
crap, yeah.
started a battle yet.
You know, like Death Wards and AIDS and.
Alright.
You gave them AIDS?
We didn't get to do our halo drop.
All right.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Max?
We didn't get to do our halo drop. We just kind
Yeah.
of crawled in on the
I
ground.
know.
You didn't because you avoided all the battles and if the fast extraction or infiltration piece. But hey, better to have it and not use it, right?
All right. Then can we ask Splinter Sphere to do that? Because then I want to. Because that will depend on. If you do that, it depends on what I would recommend for the dragons.
Yes, she is a good person, so she will do this for you.
Okay, so remove one spell slots equal to that sending spell.
Okay.
Okay, so you relay that information.
Okay, so now I feel like what I recommend for the dragons is for them to stay here until they start to hear the other, like the army, come up. And depending on one of two things, if they hear us creating a commotion inside, rush in from the outside and come in, because you said that there are windows that the flying creatures can see into the temple, right?
But again, this temple is humongous. You don't even know what the interior looks like.
Shit.
So, I mean, you can relay that information and instructions to them. Whether or not they will hear any commotion is a different story. Because you don't know. It is an unknown for everyone.
Right. Because I feel like it'd be really advantageous if they came up from essentially behind the army.
They came from behind.
Yeah. And helped surprise attacked while simultaneously our main force was pushing forward.
We are past the 30 minutes that Max wanted. We are 8 minutes to 7, so I think we should wrap this up. So, what else do you guys want to leave behind, discussion-wise? And you can tell me the rest of the plans next time.
So we did all this approach into the ravine on the ground, right? We weren't flying for around this temple very much.
You weren't flying, yeah, because it was deemed that it was better to avoid detection from the patrols if you just traveled by land at this point. Because the areas that you did traverse was unguarded, which made sense.
Yeah.
Flying now may attract attention you don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if we should ask the dragons to just kind of hang out in the ravine here until maybe we can spell sending them to be like, hey, fly up and start circling the temple and look for an entrance point, or use them as sort of our flex backup, let them know what to do when we need it from the outside.
Maybe it's kind of a 1-2, like because we are not sure if we'll be able to message, but we also don't want to take them completely out of commission. So maybe it's like if it looks like they're needed in the battle, like they can tell the chromatics are going, the metallics are engaging them. If it looks like they're needed, they should head off. If it looks like they can just hang around a bit, we'll try and message them, and then they can back us up through popping through some windows, maybe?
You said that these dragons can't transform into humans, right?
Nope, not yet. They're a bit younger, or too young for it yet, so far. Alright, well, again, we don't have to write it in stone yet. You are considering all these options as you found some. By the way, if you guys want to do a short rest, I don't think anyone had any damage. I don't think you guys need it, but if there's any, you can spend an hour if you wish to. But again, people are dying. Up to you. But just want to lay out that next session then we will begin with the party entering the tunnels and looking for their way into the temple and hopefully find it in time. Timer counts when you enter. My timer counts when you enter.
Is this another skill check?
No, most of them will be theater of the mind, but there could be a lot more battles because this is the hornet's nest, right? This is the dragon call. Those who are not fighting will be in here. To what capacity, you have no idea yet. I do, but you don't have an idea yet.
Looking for the giant map when we drop our character tokens onto it.
But yeah, so I want to end it there. You guys can discuss, not that you do, offline. Any questions, concerns about this? Did skill challenge work? Because this is the longest we have seen so far. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you guys enjoyed it. Was it slow? Was it just fine?
Oh, it was incredibly stressful. It was wonderful.
It was great. Yeah,
I
that
think
was good.
I think the fact that you guys do have options between 4 characters, I think assisted. I'm not sure if it would have worked if it was just one. At least this length, right? I think it would be shorter if we were to put a skill challenge with just one character. But the fact that these were multiple phases of skill challenges, I think it made sense that you had options to use.
I really wanted Skewer to get his moment. He was going to do like an acrobatics check and be like, "Dragon, fling me into the air and I'll look for things."
You could have done that. That's flavor. That's what the thing's talking about being creative. You could have done that. Yeah.
Well, we just didn't. I only have so many turns.
Well, what I'm hearing from Max is you want more skill challenges, and I would.
We gotta have longer ones, so we really have to dredge the bottom of the barrel of our skills.
But what I
+0 medicine check.
what I do also want to make sure that you have thought of by the time next session comes up is whether or not you are going to split the other party members from the main party if you have different objectives, or if everyone is going to rush towards the temple or finding the way to the temple. Have that idea, maybe have it discussed and have a consensus of what you guys want to do, and then anything else. Okay? So yeah, any other last questions, comments? Things we want to change? All good?
When Hoke was making his joke to the dragon, I was actually kind of thinking about, I'm going to use a performance check to give him a really good joke.
Yeah, I would have allowed it, but it probably would not have advanced the challenge.
See, that's what I was thinking, because there were a couple of times I wanted to do something, but I didn't see how it would advance it at all. So would that have been a failure?
No. It would just be more for flavor. We're just like socializing aspect, like the free rolls and whatever, and then just to add kind of like in the narrative. But it won't be a success or a failure. It won't move. You still have to Right,
because I kind of wanted to go. Everybody's like all stressed out. I want to use calm emotions.
Oh, well, yeah, in that case, if the idea was to calm people down, I would say that technically actually advances things, because that could technically lower the difficulty because people are less stressed. Yeah.
Well, I didn't see it that way. I just figured that's not really what we're going for here.
No, I would have allowed it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we could always talk about it. But yeah, I mean, we don't use a lot of skill challenges, and, we're not used to it, but be creative. I love it. I love the ideas that you guys came up with. And some of them align with what I already have notes, like, oh, they're going to try this. Oh, and there are a few that, you guys oh, they did use it, but in a different way. And so I'm going to reflavor it. And, I think it made sense. I like the whole narrative of you guys first avoiding all the patrols in the area. Oh, by the way, the birds were familiars and would have summoned an aerial battle, obviously, there. The glyphs of warding, by the way, would have paralyzed a dragon, and a group would have to traverse on ground, and whether or not you guys leave them behind or you all go on the ground. By the way, realizing now that the fortifications, which means you have to fight through the fortifications or sneak through the fortifications, would have been thing, but you failed by 1 point. If it were higher than 1 point, Jeff, the gold dragon would have triggered the effects and caused that, but you managed to avoid it by the failure by 1. So it was within threshold. So
Wow.
I had a few scenarios and none of them we used, so that's actually good for you guys. You did pretty well. The most that you have triggered again is just the investigation of the crows, the triggering of the trap, like I mentioned. Oh yeah, and the chromatic dragons. I was really crossing my it was a hard roll, but yeah, you guys managed because a lot of them have passive perceptions, but they seem to be focused on the battle. They were waiting for a signal. They have been instructed not to interfere yet, for whatever reason.
Did the skywriting successfully divert any of the guards out of our path?
Potentially you don't see it. You don't see the effect of it because you flew under everything else, and then at that point you left it behind. So, yeah, there might be some effects because of that skywriting as well. Yeah. So, good choices and good rolls, guys. Good job.
I was kind of thinking about our army sees the skywriting and be like, the other army.
Which may be a reason, by the way, why the chromatics are not moving, Max. Just to let you know. Just a thought. Maybe not. Maybe I had other plans. We'll find out if you find out. But either way, yeah. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
I was thinking like, oh, so we encountered all the chromatic dragons instead of the ones who stayed behind.
All right. Anything else? I don't want to keep you guys longer than you need to because I know 3 of you have plans.
Yeah, my plans are to go start opening more boxes.
All right. So plan-wise, next week I took Friday and Monday off. So I am free evenings if you guys need to. I cannot do Sunday next week. Not that we have done Sundays, but I'll let you guys decide whether we do Friday or Saturday. But I do have availability Monday and Sunday as well, or sorry, not Sunday evening, Sunday morning if needed. But we'll play by ear until Wednesday, and you guys tell me.
Well,
Okay.
my plan is to be driving down to LA tomorrow.
Yep. And staying how long?
I'm gonna stay till Monday next week.
Oh, okay. So you'll be local for all over that weekend. So
Yeah.
okay.
What's that? The
10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, yeah.
14th? Yeah. Well, because I'm gonna be here for our board game party.
Yeah, that's a 12th.
Yeah. And then yeah, I think my plan is to drive back up here on like Monday evening after work.
Okay, yeah. Just let me know if it's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, the whole day, or Sunday morning. I'm all good.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Yep, sounds. Bye.
Good job, guys.
Thanks, Blue.
Yeah, thank you, Blue.
All right,
Nice.
I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.